Welcome to another episode of Combat Marnius. I'm Ristique and this is...
Savs, hello and good
Oh, we got there in the end. Today we're going to be trying something new. I went and saw the new movie Skyfall, the new James Bond film, and you've also watched it, I believe, as well, Savs?
Yeah, it was alright.
It was alright.
Daniel Craig wheeled me down the fucking red carpet in a rickshaw.
Yeah, as usual. That's a standard thing nowadays, I think.
Yeah.
Country.
England.
Gun.
Shot.
Agent.
Provocateur.
Murder.
Employment.
Skyfall. Skyfall.
Done.
This new James Bond follows Bond basically trying to defend MI6 in London after being pursued by... Oh Christ, what's his name? Silver. Who's played by Javier Bardem, and obviously Daniel Craig is reprising his role as James Bond. And basically it's this whole thing of trying to protect Judi Dench, who's playing M again, and it kind of goes across China and England and Scotland, and all the usual kind of mishaps and explosions and fight scenes happen, and there's an assassination attempt and all sorts of interesting stuff. So, overall, more importantly though, what did you think of the film, Savs?
Yeah, it was good.
It was just good.
no, I did really good. I'm generally a massive Bond fan, so for me this was a big thing.
It was a big deal.
It was a big thing, and I wouldn't have... If there was something really wrong with it, I would have been quick to dismiss it and shun it like Quantum of Solace. That's just... Like, people who say it's an alright film, I just can't agree with them because I hate it.
We had this conversation earlier, didn't we? Because, like, I saw it up in Leicester Square, and I was like, no, it's okay, I kind of liked it, it was kind of good, it was kind of, continuation of Casino Royale, and you were like, no, it's shit, I hate it.
It was just bad. I mean, there was nothing really redeeming about it, except for maybe Daniel Craig, I think, is a good Bond.
The Americans are going to be none too pleased about this.
I promised them the chief, and they got the chief.
They got his body.
If they'd wanted his soul, they should have made a deal with a priest.
There was nothing I liked about that film. I didn't like the Bond girl. The villain was a complete prat.
I think I'm starting to like you.
Yeah, the French dude, I can't remember his name.
No, I can't remember either, but I don't want to watch it even to find out, to be honest. The whole premise of him stealing a load of water was just a bit like, I don't really
Yeah,
don't
that was
really
a
care.
bit of... It was one of those things during the twists. It's kind of like, at the time you're going, but then after you had like 30 seconds to think about it, you went, actually no, that's actually a really shit twist, actually.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not really that interesting.
Green isn't after the oil. He wants the water.
Actually, it did have one redeeming factor, which was Strawberry Fields, played by Gemma Arterton, who was
Oh,
actually a really good Bond girl.
She's extremely good looking in that, and she was quite
she
entertaining.
did a good job.
Taxi? Fields? When is the next flight to London?
Tomorrow morning.
Well, then we have all night.
If you attempt to flee, I will arrest you, drop you off in jail, and take you to the plane in chains. Understand?
Perfectly. After you.
I love how we're immediately not talking about Skyfall. We've just completely
This is
gone
the
off track
lead-up. This is
already.
the start of the review. We've got to set some basis for
This is true.
how we're going to talk about this.
So in contrast, though, I think like me as well, you really, really enjoyed Casino Royale, though.
Yeah, no, I thought that was... First time I saw it, I didn't like it because I was so used to the cheesy Pierce Brosnan stuff that I kind of went into it and I thought, even though I didn't really like Die Another Day, even though I do accept it, I went into that and thought, no, this isn't Bond, this feels more like a Bourne-ish kind of thing. But then I went back and watched it again, and the exchanges between Daniel Craig and Eva Green, like especially the scene when they're on the train and they first meet.
With the food and the kind of analysing each other.
So as charming as you are, Mr. Bond, I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
You noticed.
Even accountants have imagination. How was your lamb?
Skewered.
That made it... That was a big part of me actually coming back and saying, no, this is a good Bond film. And the near the start as well, the whole parkour chasing scene
That's fantastic. I love
was
that.
very good.
There's lots of little nice things where they very much keep it Bond, but they kind of give it on a new angle.
Vodka martini. Shaken or stirred? Do I look like I give a damn?
Nice little touches they did in that film as well. I
We
like.
come into this when we talk about Skyfall. That's the kind of thing that I'm on. I'm not sure about.
You're not sure about these kind of
These little quips to old Bond.
the postmodernism, to kind of the acknowledgement of the old films.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of that in Skyfall, isn't there?
Yeah, when we talk about this is going to be a spoiler alerts galore.
Yeah,
for you, so if you haven't seen it, don't listen.
We're going into all spoiler territory, so I would really recommend not listening or watching this if you've not seen the film yet. But yeah, continue.
But yeah, basically, I'll compare it to the stuff in Skyfall. You get Skyfall, you've got let's see, obviously the Goldfinger, the DB, was it DB5? They bring back the old, yeah, it's a DB5. They bring back the old Bond car from Goldfinger, not the same one, but it's supposed to be. And it's got all the gadgets. It's got like the little machine guns that come out the headlight. It's got the ejector seat, and they kind of make a quip about M's annoying Bond, and so he flicks up the gear stick.
He flicks up as if he's going to threaten to jettison her out of the car,
which I thought was a nice touch, but it needed to be a little bit more subtle, because then she started going, "Oh, you're not going to eject me, are you?" And I was like, "Oh god." It's like if you flicked that up, had a little look at it, and then just flicked it back down and contained himself, I thought that would have been more funny.
I think that would have been too subtle.
That's a very small gripe, though. Yeah, and it's too subtle for the majority of people.
That's the problem with big films like that. It has to be to a degree that even a person who has never seen Bond before kind of has to understand the joke. That's part of the issue. Whereas you're probably someone who wants it to be more on that kind of that subtlety that only kind of people like you probably watch most of the Bond films are going to get. I think one of the interesting things about this movie was that it kind of broke away from the typical molds of, more often than not in every James Bond film, there's two love interests, and there's kind of one that James Bond kind of tries to get as the kind of main love interest for the kind of over arc of the film, but there's always kind of one that seems to get killed at some point in the movie, which is usually the first love interest. And I found it interesting that in this one, you have a very kind of short alluded to sex scene at the beginning when he's kind of abroad on the beach, and it's not even a character that has any lines or anything, but really the love interest in this film is actually M, of all people, which I thought was interesting and weird and kind of cool in its own way, I guess. What did you think about that?
I wouldn't call it a love interest.
But there wasn't really, even though you had Moneypenny and you had that the kind of the person that we couldn't even pronounce the name of in Shanghai, there wasn't any intercourse, wasn't really going after either of them. They were just kind of they happened to be there as part of the plot, really, weren't they? Rather than
did you
love
not see the
interests.
scene where he bummed her in the shower?
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, but that still fits that model.
Yeah, no, it's very brief, like the strawberry fields.
Yeah.
In Consummate Solace.
But what did you think about that as really M being the person he's trying to chase in this film?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a means to an end with the entire plot, really.
What do you mean?
As in, he's got to build this attachment with her throughout the whole film. Otherwise, the big shock when she gets shot, she dies at the end of the film, and they've spent the whole film emotionally attaching you to her character through Bond.
Yeah.
Which is why they do this, obviously.
But I mean, as a Bond fan, though, was that something you liked, that you didn't like, or?
Well, the thing is, annoyingly, I saw it was another one of those things where Ralph Fiennes, I saw he got cast as M, so I was like, oh, they've dropped Judi Dench, and then I saw Judi Dench got cast as M,
no.
and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And
it'd been spoiled
it was spoiled
before you'd even seen it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Naomi Harris, she's been cast as Moneypenny. I was like, well,
yeah,
no, it says Eve on.
That was another twist they leave until the very end.
Yeah. Which was a shame. So I kind of knew what was going to happen. Well, I had an inkling. When he goes, it's time for you to retire at the start, I wasn't sure if they were going to do what they did with Q in, what was it? Was it Die Another Day where they got rid of Q? No, it was The World Is Not Enough.
I'm trusting you and your Bond knowledge.
No, it's The World Is Not Enough because John Cleese comes along, doesn't he? And he pulls that coat.
Oh, yes, I do actually remember. That's with Pierce Brosnan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Brosnan's Bond started going downhill.
I mean, just thinking of that, of John Cleese being in a Bond, that seems, now with the most recent 3 Bond films, that would seem bizarre having someone like that in it now, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
because of the new tone that they've brought with it.
It was odd. I mean, well, Desmond Llewellyn's always going to be Q at the end of the day. But
yeah, in everyone's minds.
What we're
that's another
I
point.
Thought, yeah.
What did
Q,
you think of new Q?
I thought he was good.
I'm your quartermaster.
You must be joking.
Author PPKS 9mm short. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it. Less of a random killing machine, more of a personal statement.
Q.
007.
I thought it was exactly what...
been Ben Whishaw, is it?
Yeah, Ben Whishaw.
Yeah. Apparently he's been in lots of stuff, but that was the first time I'd ever seen him in anything, personally.
Well, he doesn't look old enough to be in lots of stuff. Maybe Skins.
No. Yeah, maybe Skins or Hollyoaks or something. In-betweeners, fuck knows.
In-betweeners.
But, yeah, but, I mean, again, that was a similar sort of thing of kind of moving away from the past. You know, he kind of makes the joke about, oh, what are you expecting? Exploding pen. You know, that was the sort of thing you were talking about earlier as well. Did you have issue with that?
Well, I was kind of hoping there would be an exploding pen.
That's the sort of stuff that you're looking for, are you?
That's
hopefully.
No. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I miss it, but at the same time, if it came back,
you would go, "What the fuck? Why is that there?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would. If it's not, I miss it. If it is there, I'm thinking that's a bit silly.
That's the problem. You're torn in the middle, aren't you? You kind of like the new stuff, but you're kind of longing for the old stuff at the same time. And I think that's the problem because they're kind of tickling your balls, aren't they? They're kind of, hey, look at all these cool references we're making back to the old ones, and then they kind of almost don't do them. It's a bit weird.
Tickling your balls.
Tickling your balls. Yeah.
Don't use that one again.
Teasing
your scrotum. What the fuck?
Perfect. That's much better.
None of that.